Hai, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day I bid to all of the wonderful audience. In this joyous day, I would like to have the opportunity to introduce our young but worldliness company, which is Porifera Beloved. The name Porifera Beloved is actually was taken from the scientific name of living sponges. Our company is a newly established company that started from a small business that manufactures sponges from around the world. But keep in mind that our sponges are not the typical sponges that everybody uses in our daily life. So, what is so great about our set sponges that we have dipped on so much? Well, lucky for all the newcomers joining for our session today, will open your eyes and widen your horizon on the specialties of having an all-natural sponge as a daily necessity. As I mentioned before, the words all natural sponges are pretty much conspicuous phrases. Well, this proven from our production team that responsible in managing the materials used for creating this magnificent product. Since our sponges are made up of eco-friendly materials, we pluck the freshest raw materials from the most trusted suppliers that keep farms full of these beneficial raw materials. So, after plucking a number of these benignly goods, they were transported carefully to our workshop and were handled carefully by our professional workers that have been specialized at handling all natural sources with delicate steps. Of course, the production of these sponges are in numerous kinds and types, which can be redeemed fit to all functionality, whether it's suitable for keeping our houses clean, removing our late night makeup, keeping our body fresh and clean, or even removing any dirt or stains in any surfaces. We also provide the custom-made service as there are some products that are mainly used for keeping our bodies hygienic since every person have different types of skin and sensitivity. And of course, we ensure that all the customers who are in touch with us do not have to concern about the costs of every product, as we only keep the prices very economical. Moving on, let me introduce you to our most notable members that keep the company as it is. Starting from the most influential of them all, the Chief Executive Officer, me, Alia Binti Nazri, will be the one who is responsible for managing Porifera Beloved's overall operation. Then, heads up to our most esteemed operating officer, Nur Arifah Binti Deenoo Aizul Akbar, as the one who is in charge of the company's products and services. The production team has been running in a favorable way throughout the years thanks to our amazing operating officer. And last but not least, our beloved sales and marketing officers who have been running and exploring to many places to introduce our small contribution towards daily necessities around the world. Maryam Adibah Binti Zaharudin and Muhammad Anazhakimi bin Mohammad. So without further ado, I will hand over the most crucial parts behind the production of all natural sponges to our trusted operator, Nur Arifah Binti Deenoo Aizul Akbar. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Nur Arifah Binti Deenoo Aizul Akbar. Before you want to use a product, you must want to know how are the process and what are the ingredients involved in the making of the product that you want to use. Luckily, I as the production manager was entrusted by my team to overview the production process of our product, the sponges. And with that information, I want to share it with all of you. The first product is called Eco Beauty Blender. It was mainly made from konjac plants, specifically its roots. The process started with konjac flour, water, and calcium hydroxide mixed thoroughly. The process is handled delicately by our team to make sure that there are no lumps or air bubbles trapped inside the liquid so that it won't be defective. Next, the liquid konjac placed into mold. The process is also handled cautiously because if there were air bubbles, it would also be defective. The liquid konjac rather hardens quickly, so if we pour it too slowly, it will also be defective. The konjac remained in a jelly-like structure, so it was let solidify and coagulate on a large rack. Then it will undergo the boiling process, that is alkali heat solidification. The hot konjac then cooled in a tub of water before proceeding to the next process called freeze dry. Freezing will separate water and konjac by converting the water into ice, and thawing will remove the ice from the konjac and this konjac sponge remains. The remaining konjac will be the sponge that will disinfect and let dry. And that's all the process. Our second product is called Eco Cleanse. It was mainly made from cellulose and our specially added grated coconut. The cellulose sheets are made from cotton and cut hemp fibers. These pre-manufactured cellulose are rather large and stiff sheets, so the production started with shred the sheets and stick the cellulose into the reactor with water and sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide or lye and caustic soda acts as the softener. This mixture then led to age to desired length of time. Then it was added sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate determines the size of the holes on the sponges, so use coarse sodium sulfate to create a rough sponge such as used to washing cars, and use fine sodium sulfate to create sponges that is for washing dishes. This mixture then led to rotate and mix thoroughly. The mixture then poured into mold and heated. When heated, the sodium sulfate will evaporate and make the hole and pores on the sponge. The sponge then let cool and disinfect and ready to use. As for the two products, Eco Beauty Blender and Eco Cleanse, that require additives and machineries. But worry not, we will make sure the additives add is used accordingly to the health and safety regulations, and the machineries are in constant maintenance. As for the other two products, Eco Coconut and Eco Bud, it can be 100% handmade. Eco Coconut is mainly made from coconut husk. The production starts with a couple handful of coconut husk scrubbed gently to remove all the coconut husk powder. The coconut husk then straightened and rotated and then pressed with hand. Then natural adhesive like rubber is added to hold the coconut husk together. Our last product is called EcoBud. It is mainly made from loofah gourd, some kind of fruit that grows in tropical climate. The product starts from 6 months prior by leaving the loofah gourds to dry. Then the mature gourd is taken and soaked in water for easily peeling the skin off. The seeds also being removed easily because the loofah gourd has hole in it. Then what's left is to cut into 3 or 4 sections. 3 sections for large sponge and 4 sections for smaller sponge. Then the sections is soaked in bleach and rinsed with water to disinfect it. Then the sponge is let to dry. So that's all for explanation on the production of our beloved sponge. I, as the production manager, will fulfill my duty by monitoring the work ethics, the health and safety guidelines, and also quality control for the sake of our dear consumers.
Assalamualaikum and greetings for those who listen to me right now. My name is Maryam Adibah Binti Zaharudin and I'm in charge of operating officer sales and marketing. It is my pleasure to tell you about our most desired product. I will also first and foremost I will introduce you to our first product, which is konjac facial sponge. As how it is sound, the main ingredients for this sponge is made from konjac, which is the best choice if you want to use on your face and also for daily use. Since the sponge is made from the natural ingredients, there are a lot of benefits if you are using our outstanding sponge. Since it allows you to gently exfoliate the skin to remove the dead skin cells, the result you will gain your glowing and more radiant skin. It can function as exfoliator and also can be used to remove makeup. Using a sponge with konjac is often proposed to unclogging pores, especially with oily and acne-prone skin. If you had read our testimony, they also suggest this konjac sponge is safe for sensitive skin because it allows you to wash your face without excess irritation. Before you use the sponge, you need to sink it with warm water and submerge the sponge for a minute until it has expanded and you feel the texture is lovely and soft. Then it's ready to be used. When you are done, then you need to rinse it and let it dry. If you follow this step, then I can assure you that it can last for at least 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, it is recommended to wash with a new sponge. Instead of throwing it away, I would suggest you to to plant the old sponge in your flower pot, since it's biodegradable and made up of natural ingredients. It can be used as fertilizer. Okay, so move on to our next preferred product. For our second product is cellulose cleansing sponge. Our cellulose sponge is made of grated coconut as the main ingredient, but of course it still contain just a little bit of cellulose, but we decrease the amount of cellulose to make it more organic. It also contains a lot of advantage, since grated coconut is proved to be effective to absorb water in it. The design of the sponge, which have a small hole, allow it to absorb the water more efficiently. Not only it can absorb water, but it can also use to absorb oasis. It is one of the grated coconut properties. So if I want to make a comparison compared to other normal sponge, cellulose sponge tester is more softer, which make it safe for any surface for cleaning, and it can avoid any defect on the surface, since its characteristic is which is soft and flexible. It can make it easier for you to clean through every gap and crevices. You might consider how to manage the cellulose sponge. I can tell you that you can manage the cellulose sponge exactly how you manage the contact special sponge. Sink it in warm water for a minute before using and start cleaning. After you're done, you have to rinse it. You have to rinse and clean it, and then you can let it dry. It also biodegradable sponge. You can plant it in your so you can. It also a biodegradable sponge, so you can just plant it in your flower pot. I can assure you. So. I must say that it is such a waste to use our products. It has a lot of benefit, and the most important thing is the price is inexpensive. Enough for me, and I will let Mr. Anas to continue explaining about our product. I'm looking forward if you might consider about our product. Thank you.
Hello, I am Second Sales and Marketing Officer for our company Porifera Beloved. My name is Anazhakimi, and I'm going to introduce to you about our third product, which is e-coconut, the coconut scrubbing sponge. Do you ever having problem to clean the stubborn stain? So, I recommend you guys to buy our scrubbing sponge, which is e-coconut sponge. E-coconut sponge got its name by its substance, which is made up of the husk. Coconut husk is a natural fiber obtained from coconut that are often for people to discard after collecting its coconut water and flesh. So, how is it beneficial for you guys to use our scrubbing sponge? Firstly, our scrubbing sponge is actually durable, even though it is made up of coconut husk. Even though it is not tough enough like the white sponge that we use right now, but it's still tough enough to clean your stubborn stain. Next, it is safe to use because it is non-toxic and naturally antibacterial. Other than that, our sponge is all surface friendly because our sponge is not too rough, so you can feel free to scrub at any intensity. Then our sponge is also will help you to get the effortless cleaning. This is because coconut husk can absorb soap. So soap can bring its performance to the maximum. So the next, our coconut sponge also will help you to get the effortless cleaning. This is because coconut husk can absorb the soap, so it will bring soap to its maximum performance. So, how to manage our sponge? First of all, after you guys using our sponge, I recommend you guys to dip it in soap, rinse with water, and wring the excess liquid to keep it dry. This step is neat to keep the sponge in best condition, and the sponge will always be ready to use, and the sponge will always keep clean. Then I also recommend you guys to replace it after a couple of months. This is because our sponge is made up of coconut husk. It will start to rotting after start to rot. Then I also recommend you guys to replace it after a couple of months. This is because our sponge is made up of coconut husk, so it will start to rotten after a couple of months. Now I will introduce about our next product, which is EcoBuzz, the loofah bed sponge. Our magnificent EcoBuzz is made up of all natural loofah that come from loofah gourds, which will manifest in tropical and subtropical climates. Its flower developed into a long gourd-like plant that resembles eggplant or zucchini. Therefore, there are some risks of using loofah that we must consider, such as loofah can serve a breeding ground to bacteria. We know that our sponge is made up of all loofah, which is 100% natural. So, if we let it wet, there are a risk which bacteria will grow at the sponge. Other than that, our sponge also is a bit rough. So for soft-skinned people, they might find it sensitive to them, and it might become dangerous to their skin. So let's now proceed to the beneficial of our product. Firstly, the loofah sponge will lather up skin, which is enable a deep clean throughout your body. Next, the use of our sponge is to clean skin. The skin will look more radiant and healthy. Next, loofah sponge can exfoliate skin. It will penetrate any product more deeply into skin. Then, the loofah sponge also can stimulate blood circulation, so it makes our skin become healthier. Also, to our body. So, how to manage our sponge? Firstly, we have to dip it with dilute water mixture of 10% bleach. This is to avoid the contamination of bacteria. Then, we have to rinse it with cool water and dry it somewhere cooler, so our sponge will remain clean. Then, we also need to dry it by bringing out the moisture after being used, so our sponge will become dry and it will avoid the growth of bacteria. We also have to always buy a new set of the loofah sponge for dermatological reason.
Alright, after hearing all of the explanation clearly from our intelligent officers, I bet all of us can agree that we should be concise towards our environments, especially. There are also some testimonies that subject to certain of our furnished products as a trial for introducing our newly made words. This one was given when we were trying to expand the acknowledgement of Porifera Beloved through providing some practicable cleansing sponges that are suitable for the heavily dirty buildings. The feedback of one of the janitors stated here shows that he is satisfied about the efficiency of our eco cleanse. Alright. Same goes to one of the YouTubers that we sponsored to review and give us feedback about our eco beauty blender. And yet, another satisfactory achieve as the suitability of the products to a specific type of skin. During the pandemic, each individual has been informed that we must keep our places hygienic and clean. This teaches us how crucial it is in keeping our present general hygiene in check. Therefore, this graph shows how much of a great helper our products are towards realizing the vision. I think that is mostly everything that we can provide about our Porifera Beloved. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the wonderful times that have been given to propose about the specialities of these all natural sponges that we have been working on for years. Please do contact us if you are interested to know and venture more about Porifera Beloved magnum opus. Till the end, thank you for lending your times with us.